Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining me this evening.
Love Bucket. Thanks for having me. It's a total pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's an honour.
Absolutely. So I guess people already know quite a lot about you. With all the fantastic interviews that you've done, it's been so appreciated. I really couldn't have done it without all of them. My interviewing team, my transcription team, and obviously all of the 230 fantastic people. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your involvement with the creative arts?
I can. I'm Julie Easley. I just want to say thank you, first of all, as well. And thank you to all the people I interviewed, because it was marvellous being part of their lives for a few minutes now and again. Right, okay. I am Julie Easley. I'm a poet, and I'm half of Shanty Cafe with my wonderful friend, who's still my friend despite working with me for 5 years, Catherine Shaw. So that's me.
Brilliant. So how did it all start, Julie? When did it start? How did you get into this world of the arts?
Right, well, when I was at school, I told one of my teachers I wanted to be a writer, and she kind of laughed in my face, and that kind of died for about 30 years. So I did lots of other shit in between. I've done every job you could think of. I was a nanny in Athens when I was 20, even though I didn't really like children. And in the 90s, in the late 80s, I trained to be a nurse, and I worked at Middlesbrough General Hospital, and I met a bloke, as you do, and sold everything I had, which was not much, but a lot for me at the time. And we went off traveling for 7 years, and I got a one-way ticket to Australia, and my life completely changed because of that decision. And once we ran out of money, we had to think of other ways to make a living. And in between bar jobs and other jobs that you get, fruit picking, veggie picking, all that stuff, I started making shit. I started making stuff. And
creating wonderful art.
I started painting, and I started making jewelry and financed my travels that way in between work. So that's where my creativity kind of kicked in. And I thought, oh, there's a different life here that you could have. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's when it all started. Plus, when I was in Australia, obviously, I've written a bit of poetry about it. I worked in a remote area hospital. I got a 3-month contract there, and that kind of changed everything about how I looked at the world. Everything that I thought I knew, I realised I didn't. And it opened my eyes to racism, institutionalised racism, my white privilege, even though I'm working class. I wasn't working class travelling, I was just white. And I didn't know stuff like that. I had no idea of that. So that stayed with me for a long time, my experiences in that hospital. I was in a state of shock, I think, for the time I was there, because I couldn't really believe. If I could describe it to somebody, I can't describe it, because you just wouldn't believe the things that I saw. And so it stayed with me for a long time. It bothered me for a long time. And it was only when I started writing that I could actually kind of express it. And but that changed my life. That job changed it completely. Yeah. My life went in a different direction. So poetry. So after that, all that stuff came back. Had kids. They're kind of there somewhere. So when my kids were little, I decided to start going to painting classes. And through that, I ended up at college, and I met the wonderful Amanda Jane White, who has been interviewed, and who's a beautiful person. And she just gave me so much confidence in what I was doing and me as a person, that I decided to go to uni. So I did a foundation degree in applied arts, and then I went and did a fine art degree at Teesside Uni. And through the fine art degree, I was sat manning the exhibition. You know, when you have the open night and like hundreds of people come, and then you man the exhibition for the next couple of weeks, and you might see 1 or 2 people. Well, Chris, who was the head of the English department, happened to come and on his own, and he sat next to me, and I got chatting to him, and I told him the best bit about my fine art degree was the dissertation, because I remembered how much I loved writing. And he said, well, we do a creative writing master's here, so I ended up on that, and met Bob and Andy, the famous Bob Beagrie and Andy Willoughby.
Absolutely. So is that Chris Thurgood Dawson?
Was it who, sorry?
Chris Thurgood Dawson.
Yes, it was, yeah. And he was really lovely. He kind of said to me, well, why don't you just try and come? I said, well, I haven't written for years. And he was like, doesn't matter, just come. And I just remembered how much I loved it. And it was the poetry. I'd never really written poetry before. And just the way they taught it, oh my God, it was like mind-blowing. It was like they would get up in the class at the front and they would just read poems like I'd never heard before, in a way, do you know, in a way I'd never heard before. I was like, oh my God, this is magical. And yeah, so that's how it all started. I didn't finish that degree, by the way. Just thought I did stress that.
You didn't?
I didn't, because at the time when I did it, you had to, it was a fee paying thing. I couldn't keep up the fees, and the university wouldn't let me finish it. So.
Oh, well, that is a shame, but you know, you don't need the initials, do you? I mean, you've done it.
I don't.
Absolutely, completely. So tell us a little bit about Shanty Cafe and a bit about Diverse.
Well, Shanty Cafe is a veggie vegan cafe in Saltburn. It's in the old junior school, and which is now the Earthbeat Centre. And me and Catherine, who we are Shanty Cafe, we started off by doing farmers markets once a month. We did it for about 2 years, and we kept saying, oh, we'll get a cafe, we'll get a cafe, we'll get a cafe. Anyway, this room came up, we heard of at the school. So we just approached Tony, who runs it. And he was like, oh, well, I've never thought of a cafe. We're like, go on. And he's a vegan, so he was really up for it. So we just thought we'd go for it, you know what I mean? And we didn't have any money. Everyone thought we were mad. And we just got friends roped in to build stuff, because it was just an empty classroom, had nothing in it whatsoever, not a kitchen, nothing. And we just went around our charity shops and Gumtree to get the furniture and painted everything ourselves. And yeah, and we opened in 2015, August 28th, 2015.
And it's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, obviously it's closed, but yeah, and we started doing, I'm trying to think of our first event. We did some music to start off with. And when I did the poetry module for the MA, I think it was that we opened in 2015. And then in 2016 was a poetry module where you have to perform it to get your mark, which, you know, I was pretty scared. I thought, right, I'll do this once and that's it. I'll never do it again. And Janet Philo was in the audience, and she came up to me afterwards. I'd never met her before, and mentioned the Teesside Poets and that she was a poet. And one of the next gigs we had was Sherston came with the Teesside Poets, and they did a performance there. I didn't know any of them at the time, you know, so it was really great. That's how I kind of got introduced to that scene.
Right, well, I kind of thought you were right at the start of TW.
No. I didn't. Met them all then. I didn't. I think it was probably another year before I actually joined. You know, because I didn't think I was. After the first open mic, I didn't really do much performing for ages. It was about a year before I got back up again and did stuff. You know, scary, isn't it, when you first do it?
Yeah, my first ever performance in Teesside was at the year above ZMA graduation, when I was still doing my BA, and that was a big moment for me. Yeah, that was kind of really my, you know, because obviously I've been involved in loads of scenes and crews and done loads of stuff, but it's different when you take.
Oh, it is. It's very different. Yeah.
It's really, out into a new, a new environment, and
it's like revealing a bit of yourself, isn't it? And it's yeah. That's oh, will they like me, that kind of thing. Oh, what if no one claps? What if they don't laugh at the funny bit?
Yeah, that's the worst, when they think you're being serious when you think you've just said something so outrageous it can possibly be serious. So tell us about Diverse.
Say again, sorry.
Tell us about Diverse.
Diverse, right. So I got introduced to Kirjastus, and I think I've been doing, when was the first one? God, you know, with the lockdown and everything, you forget the time's like mashed up, isn't it? 2017, right. So Kirjastus approached me and Sarah and asked if we would like to host Stockton and Saltburn. I was like, yeah, great. So initially it was for a year. So I don't know if anybody remembers the first one. I remember the first one at Shanty. It was in May 2017, and I had booked. No, it wasn't. It was in April, and I had booked Michelle Scully Clark and another poet. I won't name them because they didn't come, and neither of my headlining poets showed up. Neither of them. And that was my very first go at hosting, and I was so terrified before it. I had so many things going on in my head. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I failed miserably. Luckily, there was like loads of poets in the audience and they all did it. But I think because it went so horribly wrong, I really learned massive amount. Honestly, I never ever made that mistake again. And it was my fault because I didn't really communicate that it was actually in Saltburn. You know, Michelle thought it was in Bradford somewhere. She was on her way there. So so it was my fault completely. But I never made that mistake again. I made it quite clear. My communication got so much better after that. But through it, what happened was I ended up becoming really good friends with Michelle because of it. And I think if that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have had that friendship with her. You know, because I ended up going down to Leeds afterwards to meet her properly and get her back.
Yeah, I saw it at Shanty and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I was just going to say Diverse 10, January 2018. Yeah, I mean, I still remember that one. It was just phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. I was actually like high for a couple of days on the energy of it. It was just magical. I'll never forget actually that night, because we didn't expect anyone to turn up because it was January. We thought, oh, you know, 20 people might come. So we left all the tables in the cafe. Well, of course, people just kept pouring in and pouring in and pouring in. It was like, oh my God. And all I remember is Bob and Lou Beagrie eating the curry, right? I'll never forget it. And we just whipped the table from underneath them and they were just like sat bouncing these plates. Oh, it was hilarious. But, you know, they didn't mind, I don't think. Sorry, Bob and Lou, anyway. But yeah, and they just, I think as Diverse went on, I got more confident in, I stopped being terrified if things went wrong. And I think that really helped. Because if things go wrong, it's fine. You just, you know, you just kind of blag it. Is that the right word? You just kind of go with the flow. And I think nights like that, because there's so many other people around, it's fine and people don't mind.
Never too hard to find poets if you need one, is it?
Well, there's always a poet in the audience who was willing to, oh yeah, I'll do a set, yeah. So, but it just gave me more confidence, because I thought, well, you know, that's the worst thing that could have happened, is both headliners not turning up. It can't get any worse than that, and it didn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, everyone I've been to has been. You know,
it will be back. It will be back, by the way. It will be.
Yeah, it was. I only went out twice in the last year, and both times it was to Shanty.
Yeah, well,
I did scuttle off to this case.
Well, that's.
But no, you know, it's just absolutely beautiful place. If you haven't been there.
Well, that's me, you see, because we've got the gig on the 21st of May. Because as soon as I knew we could have one, that was it. I was like, right, we're having one. If nobody turns up, it's fine. We'll just do it ourselves. But because I just miss it.
Really brilliant social distancing. I felt really, really safe down there. There's not many I would have gone to.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll continue in the theatre space until you know, until we don't have to. But yeah, it's just nice to be able to do something live and people still feel all right and safe and everything. So they will start up again in May, and then once I get some funding for Diverse, that'll be back on. But I think that will only be back on when we can do it in person, because I'm not very good on this stuff online.
Yeah, I know.
It turns me into, I can't handle it very well.
Yeah, so, I did really well initially, but it's kind of, they much preferred doing my radio shows than.
Yeah, it's hard going on you. I don't know, I did a video a couple of days, last week or so, and I worked on it for like 10 hours straight on a thingy, and afterwards, oh my God, my head. It was like,
yeah, well, that's the problem. There's no closing time, and there's
yeah, like, go to bed, everybody, get out.
In our red room, and
I know. See all that stuff. It's like we had something so precious, didn't we?
Yeah.
I miss it so much. I really miss it. I really do. It's like, yeah. So that'll be back. Diverse will be back in the flesh at some point.
So what we've done is we've done the lockdown question already, which is brilliant because it means that we can end on the question that I like best, which is, why do you do it, Julie? Why the arts? What is it? What does it give to you? And what part does it play in society more generally?
Right. Well, do you know what? When I started properly doing, you start off going to some of the open mics, but when I started off properly writing, properly sitting down and writing poems about stuff that bothered me or stuff that made me happy or made me sad, and then performing them, going out to different venues and reading them or performing whatever, it made me feel good. You know what I mean? I'd never felt, I can't describe, you would think I could, being a poet, I could describe it quite easily using some words, but I can't. I can't describe the feeling that you get from it. It's like a cuddle, or a kiss on the cheek, or a big massive warm hug. It just makes me feel confident. It makes me feel brave. It makes me feel empowered. It makes me feel like, even though I'm just little old me, I've got a voice. And even if only one person who reads that poem online or sees me somewhere is connects to that, to me, that's worth it. That's absolutely worth everything. And I never realized that I needed that until I got it. I never realized that's what was missing in my life. And it helps me make sense of all the shit. You know what I mean? At the moment, it's helping me to vent my rage, because if I couldn't do that, God knows what I'd be up to. Probably see me on the news. Because I'm so angry at the moment, and it's really helping me to like vent it into something creative. You know what I mean? Everybody needs creativity. Everybody needs it. It should be pushed like massively. That's why they've got rid of it in the schools.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever.
They don't want people to feel like that, do they? Brave and confident and free thinking and everything. Yeah, I want to stop all that.
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously I've homeschooled on and off for a year, and it's been absolutely, I didn't think I'd love it, but I really did. The boys have been absolutely amazing, and it's just great things like, when they're teaching poetry and they're being taught Shakespeare. Yeah. Like, great, Shakespeare's great, but here's some Joel Taylor, and
Yes, exactly.
I can tinker with the curriculum then. So I really enjoyed that. Really, really enjoyed it. And I've learned quite a lot of stuff. I've learned a lot about grid references.
Have you? Oh, you'll have to teach me. I don't know anything about them. Who knew, eh?
Absolutely. So, listen, I just want to say again, thank you so much for all that.
It's been a total pleasure.
It's been absolutely wonderful. I know people have enjoyed your interviews so much, and I'm just so glad that we finally got round to this. I'm going to put out, I put out some of the interviewers early on, and then I've saved 3 of my interviewers for like the last couple of days.
Oh, so have you? Well, I'd just like to say to everybody, they've seen me in every state that I've, just got up, like, I had a right mess, and in between all the things, I had a massive switch around. My house was completely, oh God, anyway, yeah. So I have loved it. it's kept me focused. All right, I've got to interview, so it's made me get dressed some days.
Yeah,
so that's a good thing, isn't it?
And it makes you, you've got to get your spirit together. You've got to,
yeah. I know, absolutely.
There's a person here, and they've come to talk to you.
Yes,
and
I know.
really important, and you've got to get yourself together. And yeah, that's really been.
But some of the people that I've interviewed, honestly, it's been wonderful to actually properly talk to them, and I do have to mention Carmen, because you saw what I did when I got goosebumps, honestly, when she was talking. I just thought, oh my God. It was like she was explaining my life to me. It was just bizarre. And afterwards I had a real, oh God, I wasn't right for a bit. Because it really affected me. That what she said really did affect me. I've been thinking about it a lot over the last few weeks. So yeah, thank you, Carmen, for that.
But just say to our people, if you haven't seen that, that's Carmen's interview that she did with Julie. It's our longest interview, 45 minutes. And
I did talk a lot, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Oh, but it was, every single word of that needs to be heard.
Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful, wasn't it?
Bathing in it.
Yeah. I did try to keep them down.
Yeah.
I kept, everyone was doing the interviews, I kept looking at me thinking, all right, well, that's 10 minutes has gone. All right, it's 20. Oh God, it's 35. All right, oh shit, oh fine, I'll just carry on. So I'm really sorry, some of them were really long.